Hello and welcome to the last book unhaul from this palette. I have 1.5 boxes here to share with you guys, and the reason why I call this an unhaul is because all of this will be available for sale over on Whatnot, as well as everything else, almost everything else that I have shown you that hadn't sold before. I've marked everything down to less than $3 just because this is like the final gasp of the palette before I get a new one. Yes, I already have another palette in my Bronco waiting for me to finish this. I just hadn't gotten around to it. Also, this box that I'm sharing with you first, this half box, is actually all the rest of the Mercedes Lackey that was gifted to me. Again, thank you very much. And this is to offset, again, the stuff that I've kept. Because while I said this is the last unhaul because I still haven't shown you guys the stuff I kept from the palette, at least to read. So now the hardcovers will definitely go in my collection, but the paperbacks are at least for me to keep in my collection to read and then maybe move them on to a new home. But I'm just going to shut up now and start showing you all this Lackey. For those of you that are not fans of Mercedes Lackey, I promise there's a whole other box of stuff to show you. You just have to be patient and wait. Or you can just, use that little fast forward thing at the bottom of your screen and just fast forward until I'm showing you something you're interested in. There you go. Look at that. The Serpent Shadow. This is part of the Elemental Masters series. Jinx High. Children of the Night. So if you are a Mercedes Lackey fan and would like to fill some holes in your own collection, here we go. This is Bardic Choices, not to be confused with Bardic Voices. This is Mercedes Lackey and Josepha Sherman. Wheels of Fire. This is one of the Serrated Edge novels. This is Lackey and Shepherd. The Fire Rose. I know, Moxie, it's going to be fantasy. Reserved for the Cat, another Elemental Masters novel. The next 3 are books 2 through 4 of Bardic Voices. Not, again, there was Bardic Choices. These are Bardic Voices. I do not have the first one. This is Robin and the Kestrel. The Eagle and the Nightingales. 4 and 20 Blackbirds. I think that's a great title. For those, all 3 of these are first edition paperbacks from Baen. When the Bow Breaks. This is another Serrated Edge novel. This is with Lyle and Lackey. The Black Swan. Not to be confused with the movie, but great fantasy there. Bard's Tale novel. This is with Lackey and Emerson, Fortress of Frost and Fire. Fiddler Fair. This is kind of a horror fantasy, dark fantasy, I guess, by her. I never knew that Piers Anthony and Mercedes Lackey wrote any books together until I saw this. This is If I Pay Thee Not in Gold. So this is kind of a take on, it's a fantasy take on Amazons. They're called Mamazons? Amazonians, sorry. Night of Ghosts and Shadows. This is Lackey and Ellen Guan? I don't know how to say their name. You're more than welcome to phonetically correct me in the comments. I'm sorry. Summoned to Tourney. Like Elves in San Francisco. I'm not quite sure. And then we have Bedlam's Bard. gonna save those two for last. One Good Night. This is a Luna print. So this is Luna books by Mercedes Lackey have a heavier romance elements than they do fantasy. They're still set in a fantasy world, but it's heavier on the romance, if you did not know. Were Hunter by Mercedes Lackey. Another Bane book. Lammas Night. This is a collection of short stories, I believe. And then the last two are two that I actually have in my own collection as hardcovers. They are books that I have read. One of them I have the sword tattooed on my body. This is Brightly Burning. This is one of the standalone novels by Mercedes Lackey set in the world of Valdemar. I love this book. And this is By the Sword by Mercedes Lackey. I have Women's Need tattooed on my body right here. This is the book that got me into Mercedes Lackey. This is also set in the world of Valdemar. This is also a standalone novel in that world. Most of the Valdemar novels are trilogies. So it is nice to get some standalones just to get you a really lovely introduction into Valdemar. I don't know who else wouldn't love to be able to wield magic and have an awesome psychic connection with a very smart warhorse. That sounds awesome to me. Stuff that is not Lackey. Witches with the Enemy by Barb Hendy. This is probably one of the more modern books. This is from 2015. The 7% Solution, being a reprint from the reminiscence of John H. Watson, MD, edited by Nicholas Mayer. So this is a Holmes book. And then I have some Agatha Christie here. We have Halloween Party. The Mysterious Affair at Styles. And then Partners in Crime. This is from the this is a Dell print from the 60s, and as such does have a chip spine up here at the top, but an absolutely gorgeous blue text block. It's perfectly readable. It just has that chip up at the top. But that is the half box. Again, most of it is Lackey. And again, all of this will be up for sale. Almost everything here. I think all of this is going to be $2 each. I think one of them is $1. But again, I cannot recommend Lackey enough. I love her writing. Most of her books have strong female characters. If that's your jam, it's definitely my jam. And By the Sword is tattooed on my body, if that gives you any indication of how much I love her writing. All right. For those of you that maybe want even more vintagey books, that's what this box is for. Got a bunch of Heinlein in here. We have Heinlein, the Star Beast, in the funniest cover. It does have this written on the back, 1954 house copy. I will try to see if I can get most of that gone, but if not, I'm just letting you know this is a house copy. Sorry. Have Spacesuit Will Travel. Also has nice vintage cover, but then house copy. I don't know what that means. And maybe this is someone who had two copies and kept one at home and one that they actually like gadded about with. I don't know. That's just very weird. Glory Road by Heinlein. And the very vintage cover. This is a vintage Avon. I think this one's from the 70s. Oh, never mind. 1967. Very pretty signet here. I love these stained glass signets. This is one I don't hear talked about very often. Revolt in 2100. So there's going to be some kind of revolt. 75 years. The Green Hills of Earth. This is a signet. pretty vintage signet. Does have some damage here on the back and on the front there. This one is from 1963. It was purchased August 20th, 1972 by Debbie Rand in Boca Raton for 10 cents. There's just a little note written inside the book. So that book has been on a trip. All right, we have some Frank Herbert. We have the Santa Roga Barrier by Frank Herbert. The God Makers. Really nice cover. I like this cover. Frank Herbert, of course, most well known for Dune. And then Hellstrom's Hive with the mostly naked people cover. The Hellish Hive in Oregon. The police state set in the 1970s. The Pass of Perambulator by Alan Dean Foster. Got a few Alan Dean Fosters here. Voyage to the City of the Dead. That looks like a very uncomfortable onesie this man is wearing. Or it just makes his butt look not good. That just looks uncomfortable. The Moment of the Magician by Foster. The Day of Dissonant. This is the third Spellsinger book. Oh, here's another Heinlein I missed. Podcane of Mars by Heinlein. I've never heard of this one. I have Mother Was a Lovely Beast by Philip Jose Farmer. Father to the Stars. And then I have a metric ton of Marion Zimmer Bradley in here, which I have talked about that if you do want to read Marion Zimmer Bradley, please do so secondhand. So that way none of the books purchased money goes to one of the horrible people that helped her commit some of the atrocities to not only her own children, but others. I will go over those books in just a second, but this is a very scuffed up copy of Lord Tiger by Philip Jose Farmer. Book is perfectly readable. It's just this front cover looks like it was something sticky was on it and another book got attached to this book. It looks like if you were really delicate with it, you could probably peel that off. Yeah, it looks like another book got attached to this book, so the actual cover of this book is still there underneath this. It's not worn away. But anyway, if you want to do the work for that, you can. It can be yours to save if you are so inclined. I'll just show the Bradley. We'll just go ahead and do that. This is Domains of Darkover by Marion Zimmer Bradley. And whenever I mention this person and that if you want to read their books, please do so secondhand, I always get comments in the comment section. Yes, I know there are other authors that have done other awful things. I would tell you to do the same thing. Buy their book secondhand if you want to read it. If you can separate the art from the artist, go for it. You are your own person and you can do your own things. Just like I am my own person and I'm going to do my own things. Sword and Sorceress 2. Marion Zimmer Bradley. Everybody has their own morality that they abide by or do not abide by. Again, I am just a lady on the internet that you are watching show books of. Watching show books. You don't have to keep watching me if you don't want to. You can just go away. It's really, you can just close the app or you can watch someone else. There are tons of amazing creators here. Tons of amazing booktubers, and authors that are here on YouTube. This is The Inheritor by Marion Zimmer Bradley. And like I said, the only reason I found out about the things that this author did is because I read one of her books, not knowing anything about them. And I really liked it. And then I did some reading about them because, as one does when they find an author who's writing that they like, I tried to find out more stuff that they wrote and more about them, and then I regretted it immediately. Exile Song, Marion Zimmer Bradley. Again, I have a lot in here. Oh look, here's some chunks of books. I don't know where they go. Maybe I'll find them. The World Wreckers, another Darkover novel. A lot of Darkover novels in here. Hawk Mistress, one of the Age of Chaos books in the Darkover world. Have I shown all of this? Yep, no I have not. So this is A World Divided. So this has 3 of the Darkover novels in one book. So you're getting 3 books in one: The Bloody Sun, The Star of Danger, The Winds of Darkover. Fall of Neskaya. This is the first book in the Klingfire trilogy with her and Ross. Another vintage doll. This is The Spell Sword, another Darkover novel. Okay, that's all the Bradley. I have a very vintage copy of The Space Swimmers by Gordon Dixon. Look at this cover. This cover's great. Don't know how old this is. This is a 1967 Berkeley. Operation Outer Space by Marie Leinster. I'm not sure. I don't know if that's like just a poor perspective or if that guy is a little person. But here's this. This is another ancient signet, probably from the 60s. Oh, nope, 1957, first print. The Alien Earth by Michael Elder. The Court of 1,000 Suns by Alan Cole and Chris Brunch. This is the 3rd Sten book, sorry. This is one of 5, so there's 5 books in the series, I believe. If I'm wrong, you are more than welcome to correct me. And then I showed you a bunch of Mercedes Lackey. So who is the other lady I talk about all the time? Oh, that's right, Anne McCaffrey. Where there is one, there is the other. So Freedom's Challenge by Anne McCaffrey. Acorna's Search. So this is part of the Acorna series with her and Elizabeth Scarborough. Acorna's People by her and Scarborough. And look, you can actually just get Acorna. So the original first book. And it comes complete with puppy fur. Everything comes complete with puppy fur. This is a first print from 1998. Also have a copy of The Crystal Singer by Anne McCaffrey. I believe this is the first in this series, first book of this series. To Ride Pegasus by Anne McCaffrey. In one of the very vintage printings, I believe this is from the 70s. Yep, first printing 1973. Decision at Aduna by Anne McCaffrey. I know I've sold a bunch of these in this palette. I had a bunch of these. I think I got 3 or 4 copies of the same book. Never upset to sell Anne McCaffrey to more people because I love it. This is Dragonflight by Anne McCaffrey in an actual book without a barcode. So this is from the 70s. Oh, no. 1980. Where's the barcode then? Interesting. There's no barcode on this one. It says it's from 1980. Beautiful green copy. And then the last thing I have to share with you is this set of 3 books. This is considered historical fiction. I have Clea by Lawrence Durrell, Balthazar, and Mount Olive. Now, there's supposed to be a 4th book in this series, so it's historical fiction where these 2 books and the book that I'm missing all are books written from a different person's perspective of the same event. And this book is supposed to be the aftermath of the events that happened in these books from the different people's perspective. I am missing the first book. I don't know if I'm missing the first book or one of the other books. All I know is I'm missing a perspective for this quartet. I forgot what the book is called. Justine. I'm missing Justine, which is the first book. And this is the 1970s printing with the beautiful red text block. I just don't have this first book. However, I will put these all up for sale. If you have the first book and want to complete your set or are missing a book for your own set, they will be available. But that is everything. I will hopefully have everything listed. Can't promise they'll all have pictures. Everything should be listed by the time the auction starts. It'll be at 7:30 p.m. on Thursday. And I hope you guys will join me. Again, it'll be over here on Whatnot. If you are new to Whatnot, it is a live auction selling platform. Everything, again, will start between $2 and $3. You will need your phone in order to bid. It is an app. There will be a link in the description down below that if you're new to that platform and have never signed up before, it'll give you $15 to spend on the books. It does not cover shipping, but everything ships media mail because they're books. So the shipping will be pretty cheap. Like if you get one book, chances are your next book will either not cost you anymore or will only cost you 75 more cents after you pay the initial first pound, which is I think $4.87 or something like that. It's pretty cheap. $4.47, I think is right. But that link will be down below. If you are someone who's been a part of these auctions before or are already a user of Whatnot, I'll put a direct link in the pinned comments to the auction if you see anything you're interested in. There are also 160 other books listed for you guys to purchase if you are so inclined. Almost all of the 160 that are already listed already have pictures as well as conditions. And again, those are also $2 to $3. If you cannot make it to this Thursday auction, don't worry. Almost all of these books are just going to stay in my store because, as I said, I have a whole other palette to unbox. Anyway, thank you guys so much for still wanting to see this face and hear me gab on about books. And thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you again in the next one. Until then, bye! Bye.